Investigations into allegations that President Cyril Ramaphosa violated the Executive Code of Ethics are ongoing, says the Office of the Public Protector. And this relates to how he handled a theft on his Phala Phala farm in 2020. Deputy Public Protector Kholeka Gcaleka is acting in suspended Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane's stead and has acceded to a request from the President for an extension to the deadline given to him to provide input on the matter. Oupa Segalwe speaks for the Office of the Public Protector and joins me now. Oupa, thank you very much for your time and welcome. What are some of the reasons given by the President for the extension request?
Well, thank you, Iman, for the opportunity. The President has cited quite a number of reasons, including a packed schedule. As you would know, that a person who occupies the office of the President is likely to have a quite hectic schedule. And having looked at those reasons, the acting Public Protector, Advocate Kholeka Gcaleka, decided to grant the President the request, the extension that he requested. And this was very important for us as an institution because we do not want to be caught up in a situation whereby we are accused later on in this process of having denied people a reasonable opportunity for them to engage with the extensive allegations that are involved in this particular case, particularly because the kind of information that we require from them is quite detailed. So it was important for us to give them ample time so that they can respond comprehensively.
You know, to the point you're raising right now, in that press release you state, decisions to accede to such requests are always informed by a careful consideration of the reasons advanced by the respondents, the need, as you've just pointed out, of the PPSA to be fair to respondents and the amount of information requested from them. So this implies that the reasons the President would have given are sizable and that also you've asked for quite a bit of information. Just in terms of his calendar, you know, as citizens, we expect the President to be a busy man, and that's always going to be the case. You know, when is he ever going to be free? Surely this is important enough for him to have made the time to deal with the questions that you've raised. And as I inquired there is, you know, what other details have you asked him to provide to you?
Well, I think the issue is in the public domain due to an unfortunate leak of the letter that was sent to him. But if you have had sight of that document, you will notice that the questions are quite extensive and the events involved go back a couple of years. And we would like to get as much information as possible from the President so that we are able to finalize our investigation within reasonable time. So as you have just noted, a hectic schedule for him, which preceded the lodging of these complaints and so forth. And having considered all of those issues, the acting Public Protector thought it prudent to grant the President that request,
right.
Provided that the new deadline is met and there are no more extension going forward. Because as you would know, the Executive Members Ethics Act is quite specific to say such investigations should be concluded within a 30-day period. But in this case, clearly we are not going to meet that 30-day period as we have failed to do so with a lot of other matters before this one. Fortunately, the Act does anticipate that there will be instances where we are unable to meet the deadline. And in that case, it does make provision for us to inform the authority to whom we are supposed to report to say we won't be able to meet the deadline. Right. And then in that case, the report will be submitted once the investigation has been wrapped up.
So what's the new deadline, Oupa?
The new deadline is July 18. And it is a date that was proposed by the President in his request, and then upon consideration of all of those issues, the acting Public Protector thought it best to grant him that opportunity so that, as I said before, we do not deny him what is essentially a fundamental principle in common law, which is at the heart of our constitutional regime.
So your office received 4 complaints, Oupa. You can share with the public now the nature of those complaints and who they were brought by.
Yes, so the first complaint, as you would know, came from a party represented in Parliament, and that is the African Transformation Movement, or ATM. And then we received another one from the Democratic Alliance, which is also represented in Parliament. Those particular complaints were lodged in terms of the Executive Members Ethics Act. In other words, the complaints request the public protector to look into the ethical conduct of the president. And the other two matters were received from members of the public. Those two will be dealt with in terms of, or were lodged in terms of the Public Protector Act. However, because they relate to more or less the same thing, they will be merged into one.
Have you, besides this request for an extension, for the reasons that you've given, are you encountering any difficulties in the pursuit of the matter?
Up to so far, there hasn't been any difficulties except for, queries that are coming from people who are not parties in the matter, but they have an interest in the outcome of this particular investigation. Some of those queries, like what came up in the media yesterday to say there has been some secretive deal struck between the acting public protector and the president, which is not factual. Some of the issues of concern, because they might just amount to an interference with the functioning of this office, which is outlawed in terms of Section 181, subsection 4 of the Constitution.
And those are serious, of course, and must be taken into consideration. And this is also serious as well. Allegations that the president violated the Executive Code of Ethics are very serious and no doubt imperil his position. As the public protector, is there any extra support that you seek in a matter such as this one to establish the truth and share that with the public?
Well, the support that we need as an institution established to exact accountability on the executive is cooperation. And this cooperation is provided for in terms of Section 181, subsection 3 of the Constitution, that all organs of state must assist this institution to maintain its independence, to be effective, and to maintain its dignity. So if everyone from whom we expect some form of information that can assist us to find the truth can cooperate, we will very much appreciate that.
Just as a final out question, Oupa, what has the impact of the suspension of the public protector been since it has happened on both the morale and the functioning of your office? Well,
the office continues to perform its functions without fear, favor, or prejudice. Shortly after news of the public protector's suspension broke, the acting public protector convened a staff meeting at which she assured staff that everything is under control and that they should focus on their work. They should prioritize the many complainants who knock on our doorstep day in and day out, asking for our assistance, and leave everything else in the hands of Parliament. And this was a message that reiterated a point that the public protector herself had made earlier on, shortly after she received a letter to say she must provide the president with reasons why she should not be suspended. She also convened a similar meeting where she asked staff to focus on the work and not allow everything else that is happening outside to distract them. And that's the message that we've been trying to reiterate to staff. But equally, we have also tried our level best to reassure stakeholders, external stakeholders, that all is well and that we continue to do our work without fear, favor, or prejudice. All matters are being dealt with. None of the cases that existed before will be affected in a negative way.
It is to be expected, though, Oupa, even though you have that executive instruction and that executive call for business to continue, that there is, there would be, understandably, an impact on staff themselves and people who might have a difference of opinion as to how this is all sort of, developed. Would you say that, there is that focus and staff are focusing on the task at hand?
The staff are definitely focusing on the task at hand. But we have been mindful of exactly what you are referring to, which is why our human resources division has been tasked with working with the employee wellness service that we have to ensure that issues of staff morale are taken into account and that people are able to adjust to change. So there is a change management process that is underway to assist staff in that regard. And against that backdrop, we have no doubt in our mind that we will be able to cross this bridge.
Thank you, Oupa, for talking to us this afternoon. Appreciate your time. Oupa Segalwe is the spokesperson for the Public Protector.